Oh, I think they should continue to strive for higher levels of position of responsibility and leadership. That requires a lot of diligence and commitment to duty, and I think they also ought to network among themselves so they support each other and create systems that can share information to enhance their own role in these institutions. And those of us in leadership role who've been there now on the outside have to keep pressing the leadership, the top leadership of those institutions, to practice what they preach. Not just talk about placing women in positions like the UN, which require 30% on the part of countries must put 30% within their own ranks. So, we'll be making that point constantly to them.
Greetings, dear viewers. Welcome to Diaspora Point. This is your host, Auma Bella. Today, I have the utmost pleasure of bringing to you a unique interview with none other than Africa's very first woman president and the 24th president of Liberia, Her Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. This interview was done when she was only 2.5 months in office at the Liberian ambassador's residence in Washington, D.C. I had the honor of conducting the interview. As we come to the end of the Women's International Month, President Sirleaf Johnson's wise advice to women is absolutely noteworthy.
My first question for you is, what are the major development benchmarks that you have in place for Liberia, at least for the first year or two?
Being able to restore some of our infrastructure, being able to increase the enrollment of our students in school, particularly the many war-affected youth, being able to achieve a level of growth. I mean, estimates have been made. I mean, right now we've had negative growth in the last year or so. We're talking about an 8% growth, not enough. We'd like to see it much higher, coming from a lower base, but those are some of the basic benchmarks that we're working on.
What plan do you have in place for ex-combatants who are likely to be a large number of young people?
Plans for their education and skills training, that's already ongoing. Trying to get them in schools, or trying to get them into vocational training, and where applicable, we trying to get them with jobs so they can be engaged in productive endeavor and not be vulnerable to recruitment anymore.
Madam President, do you have some specific programs in mind for the empowerment of women?
We want to see the girl child go to school. Women hold strategic positions in the government, and we expect to be promoting women endeavor and women leadership roles throughout society. Our market women are one of the most vibrant and contributing forces in our society, and for them we need literacy programs, better working conditions that will enhance their own participation in our economic life. So we think all of those are going to make a major difference in women's own role and participation in all aspects of our society.
Madam President, avian flu is also right at the doorstep of most African countries. Is that something that the Liberian government is organizing to have a strategy for?
That's already been addressed jointly by our Minister of Agriculture and Minister of Health. They've been going around the country trying to make assessments. So far, we don't think it's there, but they have developed a strategy to deal with it should we face that crisis.
Now, being a country which is recovering from many years of civil war, I'm sure Liberia has more than its share of the disabled. And do you have a disability program in place for the Liberia's disabled community?
I think some of these questions are really, you have to wait until they're addressed in our development plans by the ministers.
Okay.
Obviously, we're concerned about the disabled, and we'll have to find a way to respond to their needs. But if you're asking me what is the precise plan on this and so many areas, I have to tell you, we've been in office only 2.5 months. You got to give us some time to answer that.
My colleagues will be interested in knowing some of your views about women who are working in international organizations. What advice would you give the women? You have been in very high profile positions. You have been with the bank. You have been also with UNDP. Is there any word of wisdom that I could share with my colleagues?
Oh, I think they should continue to strive for higher levels of position of responsibility and leadership. That requires a lot of diligence and commitment to duty, and I think they also ought to network among themselves so they support each other and create systems that can share information to enhance their own role in these institutions. And those of us in leadership role who've been there now on the outside have to keep pressing the leadership, the top leadership of those institutions, to practice what they preach, not just talk about placing women in positions like the UN, which require 30% on the part of countries must put 30% within their own ranks. So, we'll be making that point constantly to them.
Thank you very much.